And Bill, just to finish, you bought the rights of another book quite a few years ago, The Railway Man.
Yeah.
And, that's going to come out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah? Tell us about it.
We just locked it in on last Friday. Finally locked it, because the whole editing process, you analyse it and you analyse it and you analyse it, and you've got to get the pace right, you've got to get the ending right, you've got to get this and that, and it's just taken us a little bit of time to get it right. But I think we've got it a great cut now. And what happened was, a friend of mine said, you should read this book, it's a great book. So I read it and I thought, God, what a great story.
Well, this was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was 11, 12 years ago. So I thought, what a great story, that'll make a great film. So I phoned up the publishers and I found out that the writer lived in Berwick-on-Tweed. So I arranged to go down and see him and his wife, and I went down and I had lunch with them, and it transpired that they were talking to a Canadian company about the rights. Somebody else had the rights and said you couldn't make this film because it covered so much of a person's life. You had to use different actors for the young person and the older person. Anyway, and they were about to, I got the sense they were about to do a deal with this Canadian company. I persuaded them to do it with me. We got on great, and I convinced him that I had the feeling to make the right film. Came away from it, got a script written, budgeted that script, and it was about $60 million. And it was like a big war epic. 3 years went by, I renewed the option, and I kept renewing the option. And then finally, I joined forces with a chap called Andy Pattison, good film producer, made lots of good films, and we got the script stripped down, revamped the script, and got it to become a different story to the first script. This was the story we wanted. This was very closely tied to the story in the book about this guy. He was as a young man, he was a prisoner of the Japanese. He was captured with the fall of Singapore, and he's a prisoner of the Japanese. And because he's an engineer, he's in the signals and engineers, he was treated a little bit better than the way they treated the other prisoners that they made work on the Burma Railroad. And the idea was to build a railroad from Thailand through to Burma and then on. And one man died for every yard of track that they laid. So it was quite horrendous. And through a different set of circumstances, he's captured, or he's caught, he and the other chaps in the hut with him are caught with a radio that they made, and they're tortured because the Japanese believe that they're communicating with the resistance, the Chinese, who were their enemies. Anyway, he's repatriated when the Allies drop the bomb on Hiroshima, and he comes back and he can't live in society properly. He's traumatized, he's totally fucked up. He meets a lady and he marries her, but she doesn't know what she's marrying. She's marrying damaged goods. And then he spends a lot of his time going to these veterans meetings and so on, and because basically they're the only people that can understand what they all went through. And he learns that the interrogator, the translator, who was there through the torture process, is still alive. And I can't tell you everything, but a few things happen that force him to consider going back to kill him. And he does, he goes back to kill him. And then a different story unfolds where he realizes that the Japanese guy is also a victim of the war as much as he was. And the Japanese guy, within his own limitations, is trying to make amends for it. He has accused his own country of treating the Allies in a despicable way. And admits that they murdered many, many soldiers, and that he's, in fact, if he killed him, he would find death as a release, really. And so what he does in the end is he realises that to kill him, it's not going to answer anything. And the only way he can be free is if he forgives him, which he does. And we approached, because Patterson knew Colin Firth, because he made a movie with him before, which was The Girl with the Pearl Earring, which was based on the life of Vermeer, the painter. He gave the script to Colin Firth, and Colin Firth said, I've got to make this film. I really want to make this film, you know. So that was the breakthrough. And then we got Nicole Kidman. We got a fabulous actor called Stellan Skarsgård, who, as soon as you see him, you recognise him from other movies. And a young boy called Jeremy Irvine, who's in Spielberg's film of War Horse, and he's in Great Expectations recently, who gives a superb performance. So I think we've got a really good film, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a fantastic film.
Yeah, I think so.